Hey, welcome to another edition of Kyle Meredith with. It's the interview series presented by WFPK at WFPK.org, Consequence, and the Consequence Podcast Network. Thanks as always for making your way here for checking out the series. Of course, you know what to do. If you like what you see, what you hear, hit that subscribe button. I put out 3 new interviews every single week, so it's a great way to keep up with all of your favorite artists. And I'm so excited today. John Early is here. He's got his new special, Now More Than Ever, which is now an album as well. Hello.
Hello, Kyle. Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you here. Been laughing at the absurdity that you've been putting out into the world for a while now,
Thank you.
and so thank you for that. But seriously,
You're
I
welcome.
know the special has been out for a little bit now, and as I mentioned, it's going to have the vinyl version. So congrats on this because now more than ever is one of the funniest things that I've seen this year.
That is so nice. Thank you.
Yeah. Is there now that it's coming out on record and you've talked about this like this concept that you have found for yourself of musician, comedian and the stage production um sort of even I think I heard you say mirrored after the Last Waltz this specific special.
Yes,
Like how
yeah.
does that translate to the album?
Well, the kind of I was very resistant to ever putting anything on the record with my live performance. It's just something that you do as a comedian, and I was like, well, I guess it's time. Part of why I was resistant, beyond just basic fear and insecurity, was that the live shows were so sacred to me. They were like there was a kind of tent revival, sweaty, transcendent quality to doing music and with a full band. And I was I don't know, it was just a very, and it was also, I was kind of using a part of myself, like a more generous, kind of like, um, lovable, dare I say, a kind of part of myself that often doesn't appear in my like psychotic characters, that I play on TV or that I write for myself. So I always had the instinct to keep it just that's only for those live audience. That's only for the kind of ticket buyers. And and I was really scared that when you would put it on record that it would just immediately lose. It would just hemorrhage its live quality. And so what I was so the kind of approach with the Last Waltz on the special was like that seemed kind of like the only aesthetic option, the gritty 70s rock doc option was the only way to preserve the liveness of it. And I think it worked. And then similarly with the album, I was like, well, I also was like, I don't know if will it just work with sound alone? And I was so moved when I first heard the live album all the way through. I was like, this actually is like turns out sound, just like pure sound, is so much more vivid. Like you feel the liveness so much more. So this step of the whole process, and it will be the final step. Just telling everyone now. It'll be over. Don't you worry. But like this step of the process is to me almost the purest representation of what that live show was. Because I mean, this is so obvious. Maybe also for like a music person like yourself, it's like I just was kind of rocked by the way when you're just listening to something and your imagination can do the rest of the work and you're not being told what it is visually. It's like you really feel like you're in the room.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah, I had a similar conversation with Sarah Silverman about this. We were talking about what you're getting at
I
here. It's
was
like
sorry, I was sipping as you said her name, so I didn't get to go, my hero. And it looks like I was being shady. I was like, uh-huh.
or you can I'm just
First
looking
of
at
all, I
name
would say
drop over here anyway, so it's
this special would not exist without Jesus's magic. It was such a formative, important special to me. Okay, keep going, keep going.
no, no, but that was it. Like that's what we were talking about because, you know, most of us, at least in my world, like we had our comedy albums growing up as, that in the same way as we had any music album.
Yeah,
Especially like, I'm in my 40s now, so it was like Adam Sandler or whoever, was in there and what you're saying, what you would make up in your head, even my favorite music live albums. Like I
Yeah.
remember, God, when I was a teen, there was a Counting Crows live album that I wore out and I knew everything it looked like, even though I never saw it. One day I got
Yes.
on YouTube and I looked up and was like, it looks nothing like in my mind,
Yeah.
and maybe destroyed it a little bit. But
I know. I do think the visual kind of destroys it.
but luckily, like, for years, like I think what you're doing, it's so easy to see. And I
Yeah,
don't, it's
yeah.
not fair because I saw the special first,
Right, right.
you know, but what you're doing, like the style of comedy that you do up there and the music itself and just the chances that you take, it's like, I don't know if because you like Eddie Izzard, that is one of the great examples of like you
Yes.
probably should see that. Like
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
just so many movements, and there's that one point in the special where you run out the door, which by the
Right.
way, props to the commitment to the joke.
Thank
Just
you. Thank you.
but other than that, like you are so visual in your voice, you're so
Yeah.
visual in your jokes, um, that it just lends so much, I guess, the
Well,
compliment.
the jury's still out on whether that can is, translatable to the live album. Like that was actually something I really contended with in this. Like I cut two big jokes because I was like, this is just officially over the line. There's like a joke about bowling in the special, if you can call it that a joke. Uh, but that I had to cut because I was like all the kind of punchlines here are just utterly visual. This is just and then there's a joke about like being yourself and the way it looks to be yourself in kind of contemporary internet culture, and it just also completely didn't work. So I was like, I had to kill my darlings a little bit, but it's better for it. It makes it all shorter too.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear about where you came up with this character, I guess, if you want to call it that. Like
Yeah.
just a bitch sometimes, I think is
Yeah,
the
yeah. The persona.
what's that?
No, wait, which character? The me?
Well, just like you have this person in this special, like the band maybe hates him sometimes,
Yeah.
and it's very jealous person,
Yes.
and even those moments on stage where you slip into just this absurd's not the right word. I mean, it's absurd because great
Yeah.
comedy is, but just this, I don't know where you have to go in your mind to get to those spots, or maybe I do because I think that's what I appreciate, like a reflection in the humor I like.
Yeah, yeah.
But like, if is there a starting point for the version of you that we see in this special?
Yeah, I've done enough therapy to know, like, I mean, it's also I don't think it requires, a licensed therapist to figure out. It's like I I grew up, and this is obviously a huge part of the special. Like my parents are in the audience. My parents were at one point Presbyterian ministers. Like I grew up in a very kind of obviously had to be a good boy. And that's very in the kind of culture. I grew up in Nashville.
Which, by the way, I'm just up here in Louisville, so I'm in Nashville.
Oh,
I know the culture, right?
yes, yes. Okay, amazing. Um, I love Kentucky. Anyway,
I tolerate Kentucky. I'm from here.
no, that's how I feel about Tennessee. Um, but there's a lot to love about Kentucky. But anyway, but there's this. I was a very well behaved, kind of high achieving, sweet little Southern boy, and so there's kind of I really obeyed the rules for the most part as like as an adolescent and a teen, and I just think there is this like really hope like a lot of my comedy is a function of just like a delayed adolescence and needing to work through some things that I think most people work through in their youth and so there's like a lot of my like that kind of character, that kind of diva character is me kind of just like trying on what would it be like to be just like totally monstrous and selfish and like and also what would it be like to wear those feelings right on your face. We all have feelings of jealousy and feeling threatened and and like but I have such well like oiled mechanisms of like repression, you know? And so it's like it's a very fun thing to do, to like to do the socially unacceptable thing and just like show it right on your face. So that's part of it. And like, and then that obviously really with the special, and I'm really happy I kept this, even though it is very visual, I'm happy I kept it on the album. But the way I torture my parents, it's like that
That's
bit is like
yeah.
epitomized in the special. And I love it on the album because you also really, because you can't see the light on them, you really feel more than you feel in the film special. Like you really feel the way the audience went totally crazy,
Yeah.
and the sweetness of the audience. Like just they were so excited to see my parents, and I just find it very tender. It's very sweet.
Yeah. And that's because you do, so you, as you were saying, you have this diva character, and that could be its own thing. It could be two-dimensional if you needed it to be, and you could make a 90s SNL movie out of it or something.
Yeah.
But you do this layered thing because you're deconstructing society, like to the people that we're friends with, the people like when we, we believe in science at our house, like that's the flags outside my friend's house, that like
Yeah, yeah, and my
you take
parents.
those
Yeah.
moments, and that's what I love, because so much of what we do is probably performative.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's
why
I
did you lean into that?
well, I think there's that's like what I like to do. It's what I've always liked to do, like predating Trump. I think I was my kind of like larger comedic project, if it could even be called that, if it's ever even that like deliberate or conscious. But if you look at anything I've ever made, it's like there's kind of this through line of like kind of poking fun at like liberal posturing. And I say this as a like leftist,
Right.
I'm a lefty, um but it's always been kind of important to me to kind of poke at some of the hypocrisies of like smiley liberal culture, and then that kind of became really confusing once Trump got in office, because it was like, oh, things are so dire with the right that like to poke fun at the left would not be good for the cause, and I felt very like confused. I really, really
Sure.
struggled with like you know, what to do with my kind of like these comedic tendencies of mine. And I think the special was very exciting for me because I did feel like that something was relaxing in the culture, and like people were ready to kind of make fun of themselves again. And,
Right.
I mean, I would say Democrats are still really, really largely very bad at criticizing themselves at all, or taking responsibility for their part in the like disaster that we're in.
Mhm.
But like that's another thing. I'm more talking about like attitudes, behaviors. I don't know. That's just always kind of been a little naughty thing that I like to do.
Yeah, but you're right. I mean, we are, because I get exactly what you're saying. The stuff that we couldn't say, and I don't mean like
Yeah,
in a cancel culture sort of way, but sure, that too.
yeah,
But like the stuff that, as you said, like we would have made fun of each other and everybody would have been cool with it, and suddenly you're like, ooh, but it feels like that's coming back around. Like we're a little
yeah.
bit,
No, it's healthy. It's a good sign.
right.
It's really, really a good sign. And like, and also it's just like my audience. Do I need to attack the right? I need to make fun of the right for my Brooklyn crowd. It's like that. That's the thing that I find so funny about like, especially in our like echo chambers. Like we're only with this is what I find so devastating about doing comedy now. Is like we're only playing to people who have the or algorithmically their brains have been smoothed out to have the exact same opinions as us. And so it's like it's so hilarious to me when I see like a comic get really like righteous about the right. Like when like sometimes that's necessary. Sometimes there are audiences that could actually be provocative or interesting for their specific audiences. For my audience, like it would be insane. Like I'm performing in Brooklyn, I'm performing in Silver Lake, and like that's it. And no one no one needs to be like, have my finger waved in their face about like the right, you know. So it's like I don't know. That's just always been all my heroes too. It's like that's always like Sarah Silverman, you know. That's like
Mhm.
her whole thing too.
Mhm.
It's like anyway.
Yeah. No, that's and of course that's one of the reasons why we're such big fans of what you do and the music as we started out on here because your musical choices in this special.
Yeah.
Um, from Overprotected, not the most obvious of the Britney songs.
Thank you.
What
I'm
I
proud of that.
what I loved, by the way, God, there was such a nerd moment because in the special, you're like any Britney song, and then of course you're asking for one specific Britney song, as we find out, and you can hear the crowd trying to figure it out, and you start getting very specific. What did you? What was
I'm
it?
very
Third
mad.
album, second
Third
single,
album, third single.
third single, right? And I'm guessing somebody has probably pulled their phone out at this point,
Yeah.
and they said, "Not a girl, not yet a woman,"
Yes.
which wasn't correct, but was correct internationally.
Wait, how did you know this? No, no, I know. Okay, so this this happened to me. Like I actually had a problem with this in Canada
Uh-huh.
when I did the show
And
in
it's not the
Toronto.
same. The release schedule was different.
Yes.
Like, of course, I'm the nerd that looks at, at all of that stuff anyway. I mean, that's,
Yeah.
that's my job, it's my hobby too. But when I heard them saying that, I thought,
Yeah.
I wonder if they, and I looked it up and that's what it was. I'm like, that's hilarious
Yes.
that
No,
that's
I
part of
know.
you.
I actually had this problem. Like when I did the show in Toronto, someone like messaged me after and it was like, "Babe, it was the second single." And I was like, "In your country?" I was like, Don't think I don't know about the international release plan, sweetie." Like, but yeah, it it has confused that bit a little bit. But in my little Tennessee life, it was the third single
Mm.
and an underperforming, overprotected, underperformed.
Yeah, again, that's when you started it, and I was watching with my wife, we're watching it and everything. I was like, oh yeah, I kind of remember this one,
Yeah,
you
kind
know,
of.
because was Slave the first single? Was that
It
record?
was yes, it was
Yeah.
Slave, then I'm Not a Girl, then
Yeah.
Overprotected. Or
And God, those first two singles were just unstoppable.
I know,
That
I know.
Overprotected probably just had no chance at the time, It was just like it was going to be
Yeah,
swallowed up.
and there's something I don't know. Like there is something kind of I guess like modest about it in a weird way. It's like it is just like it's like a well-made pop song, but it's not like doing the like I'm a Slave for You was so like and now I'm going with the Neptunes. This is a brand new thing, baby. Like Overprotected could have been on the previous two albums in a way, but like I just think it's like all the kind of chord progressions, the key changes, like it's very there's something very like particularly like soaring about it. It like has these moments where it really like takes off and feels very like major and like in the musical sense and like it's so I find it to be a very emotional song and that's certainly not what I played to in the performance of it, but I do love to do it live for that reason.
Yeah. And hearing you do that, but like the juxtaposition in that and several of the songs, because the pop songs, and then you've got After the Gold Rush,
Yeah.
and it's gorgeous. This
Thank you.
beautiful version that's so perfectly placed.
Thank
And
you. Thank
yeah,
you.
like you all sounded so good on that.
Oh my God, I'm so proud of that. That was gonna be a Madonna song. That was gonna be Take a Bow.
Right.
And that was back when I was like very kind of defiantly like I refuse for this thing to be like I was like I know other people have their perfect little shows with their perfect little themes and their big kind of like emotional cathartic moment in the final act like I was like but I'm going to do an old school kind of variety show. It's not gonna it's like it won't be cohesive. You know. And I was like so I'm just gonna choose my favorite songs and like and it's gonna be a party and like that was the kind of whole approach. And then I was just, I mean, honestly, I was like going through a breakup and like music was just more like, it was just hitting me
Sure.
harder. And I was like listening to Trio, the Dolly Parton, Linda Ronstadt, and Lou Harris album,
Mm-hmm.
and both albums. And I was listening to Trio all the time.
You
And
totally felt the blues moving in.
yes. And I the after the Gold Rush cover was like really haunting me. It was like, and I also was like, oh my God, I kind of couldn't look away from it because I was like, this does actually absorb all these themes that are kind of like subtly swirling around the stand up. This like kind of me talking about this like bombed out culture, this like internet culture, and this like and needing to like needing to like leave it behind and go to a new planet. Like I don't know, it actually just like made sense to me on some weird level, and I was like and then I was like, oh, I could group all that material there, and we could go into that song, and it could, and like, and Dominique and Princess, like, we love to do like, if I had my way, there would be no solos. Like, I wish we could just always do three-part harmony, and like, I was really excited about doing like a country folky three-part harmony thing, and it just that ended up being the reason I think why the special is like actually meaningful to me is that whole sequence and underscoring and going into it, and like it was just a new style of joke. It was like the joke is the kind of audacity of me doing it. The audacity of being like, no, I like there is a kind of emotional thing underneath my stand up, and I am gonna sing this song, and like I really actually do think it's moving, and we're gonna move right along.
Mhm.
We're gonna right after I'll do Donna Summer. I'm not gonna dwell in it, but it was definitely a new tone for me, and I think it's what makes the special and the album. To be clear, it's what makes it it's I feel like it's even more of a surprise on the album version because you
Mhm.
really can't hear it coming or see it come. You can't see it coming. Um, but anyway, I'm so glad you like that. I think that's my favorite part of the whole thing.
That's really, as you're saying, it's a level up moments.
Yeah,
To show that because you think of like the greatest of all time comedians and the way whether you're going all the way back to George Carlin, Lenny Bruce, where you could tell full stories that were very serious,
yeah,
almost more than funny, but then the punchline would hits
yeah.
and it becomes, comedy
Yes,
suddenly.
totally.
To have that in your tool belt suddenly, I mean that's fun danger to play with.
Yeah, totally. And it was like my friend, the great Cola Scola, was like after that show, after that taping, they were like, "You're a cabaret artist." I was like, "Thank you." I was like, "That's all." I didn't realize it, but that's all I've ever wanted to do is just do cabaret. But I've kind of, I don't know, had the received kind of like that's cheesy thing, and I was like, no, this is actually it makes me like my stand up more when it's like underscored and it can like and I can actually what was so revolutionary for me was like, oh, now I can act my stand up.
Mm-hmm.
Like without music, the whole job of the acting is like it's just you're just trying to pass it off as conversational. You're like, I'm thinking this up in real time. Like that's the acting job. When there was music underneath it, suddenly it was about like yearning and I could like look at the audience and like try to connect with them and like beg and like and plead and like and commiserate, and there suddenly I just had something to do as an actor, and it was like that was really thrilling.
Yeah. Just to backtrack for a second, did you actually work up Take a Bow? Are you all able to play that these
Oh
days?
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, that's part of the problem is we used to do that song live. We did it for years,
Uh-huh.
and it would always be the kind of slow, moody part of the show, and like I love that song. And we do it well. And so it was like, well, I thought like we gotta do our greatest hits.
You can still put it out there if you
Yes.
wanted to,
Yes,
which,
totally.
and God, of course, I love Madonna and,
Me too.
you know, it's hard for me to pick, but I'm a 90s teen, so
Yeah.
90s Madonna. I went back to the Ballads record where, she does
Yeah.
I'll Remember
Yeah.
and Playground,
Yes.
which I didn't know she had never performed live until she
Wow.
did a cappella snippet on this last tour.
Which I was there. I was there. I went
Did
to
you
a
hear her
tour.
do that? Like,
Oh,
I would have lost
yes,
my shit if I heard
yes.
her do Playground.
I think she did a little snippet of it and maybe then went into Live to Tell and
Sure.
did this like beautiful like AIDS tribute, like, which again is something that like if you describe that to me, I would be like, well, this sounds schmaltzy or maudlin or something. It was like I was like in tears. It was
Mhm.
so tastefully done. It was so beautiful.
Yeah. Once she shows up to the stage, man, she'll still knock it out. That's
I know. It was insane. It was such an incredible show.
She came to Louisville probably 2 or 3 tours back. It was 6, 7 years probably at this
Yeah.
point. And because it was Madonna, she just decided to use a Southern accent nearly the entire show. 3 hours late and a Southern accent.
Oh no.
And we still had a blast, even though it was like between every song, you'd look at the person next to you going, what the fuck is she doing?
It's 1 a.m. Oh my God.
You all are taking this out on you're going out on tour. So
Yes.
that's what my the question was. I don't know what you're taking on tour. Like, what is this tour? Is it a reflection of the special? Is it all new?
So the tour is
With the Lemon Squares, I should say. This is your band.
yes.
Yeah.
I'm going like so for all the southern stops, not that I know that this has a wider reach than that, but we're I'm taking the Lemon Squares out for New York and LA. Those are just the bigger theaters. And then for the rest of the tour, Michael Hessline, who Hess on the keys, he's going to come with me, and he's also like the producer, the kind of music supervisor producer of this whole thing, and he and I like we this like little these extra songs that are on the album, the additional songs are like our little labor of love, and he did such beautiful like arrangements, like Rock the Boat. He did this like Burt Bacharach kind of like jazzy key changey arrangement of. He's totally brilliant. He's coming out on tour with me, and we're doing the music is mostly the additional songs
Okay.
plus some surprise ones. So it's none of the songs from the special, and it's none of the material from the special. It's all new material. Vicky with a V will be there. She's very generously coming on tour with me to help boost sales, and then we have new songs, and we have a couple like surprise never before done covers that I think people are gonna never before done
Sure. Why not?
whatever.
Never
Uh,
before done by you.
yeah. Yeah, exactly, which no one asked for. Um, but yeah, I'm just so excited because we put so much. The additional songs on the album are like we did those after the kind of success of the special. And by success, I just mean my own private, like, kind of like, oh, we can do this. Like, we're allowed to take the music seriously. We're allowed to care. Like, it worked. Like, at least, for us in the audience and a lot of the people who watched it, like, we can do it. And so we really, like, we felt full permission to, like, really care and really work hard on the music. And so I'm very excited to do those live.
Yeah. Wow. I really want to know what these songs are. I have to come see the show.
You have to come. I mean, there's Atlanta, Durham, Nashville.
Uh-huh. I'll probably come down to the Nashville one. Yeah.
You have to come, and my parents are going to be there.
Of course, then I have to come.
So you
Is your
can
dad gonna
finally meet my
bring his trumpet?
parents. um, I'm not going to put him through that. I made him come out of trumpet retirement to do the tracks, to do Rock the Boat and American Life, and he like he was so nervous because he used to play every day. He used to like warm up every day, and he's really just for some reason was just like I'm done.
Mhm.
And so I'm not gonna make him do it live
But if he wants to,
if he wants, but I guarantee he does not
he
want
does not. Oh, that's cool though. No, that's the easy drive. I would love to see that show. On top of all this, what else did I see here? Eternity? Is that the next movie we'll see in?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Sorry, I forgot.
I
Yeah,
don't know.
it's coming out in probably 100 years. I just shot it in Vancouver. If anyone cares, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. It's the tour. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. Well, again, it's fun just to see you pop up. Like, even all the stuff throughout your career, I was thinking like you have you're I think you're the only person who can say you've played Taylor Swift's son and Jenna Maroney's son.
Thank you,
Yeah,
thank
so
you.
that's
I'm. I've never put those two next to each other, and it's really true. I've played the son of some iconic blondes.
but again, being a Taylor Swift video, talk about leveling up. Like, I don't know,
Oh my God.
do you notice that that has added anything to the crowd when you go out?
I don't think it's added anything to my crowds, but
It's
like,
all added to her crowds. I see. Yeah,
yes, no, exactly. Her sales are through the roof,
uh-huh.
obviously, now that I did the video. Um, but it is just like people are so excited about that. You
Mhm.
know, like kind of like more than anything I've ever done. Like in a way that's sometimes crushing.
Mhm.
But like yeah, no, it's like that's something that like the locals really care about. And it also like it's very sweet too, like the way like I'm now suddenly like for like the teens, the
Mhm.
teeny boppers, like
Mhm.
they think it's so cool that I did that, and I don't think they care about anything else I've done. So that's been really sweet.
Just think like because what more recently what Ethan Hawke being in one of those, like it's probably the same thing for him. The guy's a legend. He's been in a million amazing movies. They're like,
Yeah.
yeah, but you were in a Taylor Swift video, and that's what counts.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, it's so funny with my nieces. They're like too young to even understand like what a music video is. Like they love the music video, but I have this like thing in me where I'm like, get ready because in a few years this will really blow your mind that I was in this. Like, I'm like this is huge. This isn't a sketch, sweetie.
Right.
This is
Big
this is
deal.
international. They're like four. You're like, what?
Rub it in now, right? That's yeah. You'll get it. Now more than ever is so good. The special is so good. The album, I will have the album as well. And I can't wait to see this new live show that you're putting out there, man.
Oh my
John,
God, you
thank you so
have to
much.
come and you have to listen to the new songs and the
Oh, I will
videos.
be listening. I will absolutely be listening to the new
Okay.
songs. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I'm not gonna pass those up. Dude, thank you so much for taking the time to talk about it all today.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. This was so fun.
And thanks to my guest. Also, thanks to you for checking out the episode in the series. Before you get out of here, hit that subscribe button. Again, you get 3 brand new interviews every single week. New one every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at right here on YouTube, or of course anywhere in podcast land, including iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podchaser, NPR, or WFPK.org as well. A great way to keep up with your favorite artists and discover new ones as well. Then after that, actually head over to WFPK.org. That's where I do a show Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern. It's an hour full of song premieres, music news, anniversary spins, bonus interviews, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern at WFPK.org. Consequence has your music and film news. You can also find me on the social media spots, Facebook, Instagram, mostly on Twitter. All 3 of them, the address is at Kyle Meredith. Do hope you like and follow along. That does it for another edition. I'm Kyle Meredith. I'll see you next time.